This is part 2 of a 3-part video series that covers PDA, Pathological Demand Avoidance, in Autistic Adults. In the first video of the 3-part series, entitled 8 Characteristics of PDA, I explained what PDA is. I provided a brief history of PDA. I explained what PDA is sometimes misdiagnosed as, and I shared 8 characteristics of PDA, Pathological Demand Avoidance, in Autistic Adults. Now, a link to that video is in the video description, as well as the upper right-hand corner of the screen on many devices you're watching this video on. Now, in this video, I will share with you 8 ways pathological demand avoidance impacts our lives as autistic adults. However, before we get into today's video, it is important to know that not every autistic person experiences PDA. In fact, it is estimated from the limited research and studies that have been done that only 20% of people who are on the spectrum will also have a co-diagnosis of PDA. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get started. Hey, Define Yourselfers, I am Chris Mitchell, aka The Confident Autistic from theconfidentautistic.com. If this is the first time you are watching one of my videos, welcome. I truly appreciate you checking out my video. I am an autistic adult, late diagnosed, a multi-certified life coach, and an advocate for autistic adults who is on a mission to empower you to embrace autism confidently. Now, this video is brought to you by all the wonderful people who supported my mission by subscribing to my channel, along with those who have liked, commented, and shared my videos. I thank you for your continued support, and I invite you to show your support right now by liking and sharing this video, along with subscribing to the channel. And when you do, don't forget to click on the bell to be notified when new videos are posted and when I go live for a weekly Q&A live stream. Let's start out by a quick overview of PDA. The term PDA stands for Pathological Demand Avoidance. PDA is a behavioral phenotype of autism spectrum disorder that's characterized by intense need to avoid demands. Now, you can learn more about PDA and how it looks in the lives of autistic adults by watching my video, 8 Characteristics of PDA, Pathological Demand Avoidance in Autistic Adults. A link to that video is in the video description and up in the upper right-hand corner of the screen on many devices that you may be watching this video on right now. PDA can have a significant impact on autistic adults' lives. And now let's dive into 8 ways it can impact our lives as autistic adults. PDA can significantly impact an autistic adult's life by causing extreme anxiety, which is very common in the autistic community, including myself. I battle anxiety, and PDA can cause resistance to everyday demands. PDA causes self-care issues, which can include difficulty with basic tasks like hygiene, eating, managing personal finances due to the anxiety associated with following a routine. Although we crave routines, we love routines, sometimes our routines can actually cause us anxiety. And a little side note here, if your routine is causing you anxiety, you may want to tweak that routine. PDA can also challenge emotional regulation in autistic adults. Perceived commands can cause an autistic adult with PDA to experience high levels of anxiety, increased panic attacks, and emotional distress, making it hard to manage our emotions effectively. Now, when you combine the anxiety and resistance that PDA can cause, along with self-care and emotional regulation challenges that PDA can cause. It is no surprise that PDA can cause autistic adults to engage in either procrastination and or avoidance behaviors. This is evidence in our tendencies to put off tasks or actively avoid situations that feel like demands, even if they are important. A great example could be we may put off paying our bills, which can cause anxiety because we could get late fees and higher interest rates and a ding to our credit reports. A lot of consequences to that. And that could be causing anxiety. But we're putting off doing that because we feel we're being demanded to do that. We're feeling our right to our own choices being taken away from us. And when we experience that, we may avoid doing things as our own resistance, an own way of declaring our autonomy that we are in control of our lives, which we are. And we do have that right to choose not to pay our bills. And our bill collectors have a right to punish us for that. So I do recommend paying our bills on time. This is my recommendation. Do with it as you feel is most appropriate for you. Two biggest areas that are impacted by PDA in autistic adults. And when I say biggest areas, these are areas, maybe other areas are more impacted, but these to me can have very long lasting, devastating effects in our lives. So let's get into these two. And the first one is in relationships. PDA can cause you and I to experience difficulty maintaining friendships and intimate relationships due to strong needs for control and resistance to others' expectations, potentially leading to conflict and social isolation. What this boils down to is this: whether you have PDA or not, and I don't know if I do or not. I kind of don't think I do, but I do have some of these characteristics, and I'm sure others in our community do too. We tend to want to be control freaks because we need that routine. We need that predictability in our life. We want to have control because there's so many things out of our control that causes us anxiety. And sometimes when you get too controlling in a relationship, it can damage, if not destroy, the relationship, as well as when we resist to others' expectations. So if we're dating, which I've not done, many years since I've been happily married for over 2 decades, and our significant other kind of expects us to remember their birthday or to remember to call them when we got home because they care, we may avoid doing that because in the latter, please call when you make it home safely. That to us can sound like we're being treated like a child. When you were a kid, you would go out with your friends, at least back in my generation, probably still true today. You go out with your friends and on your parents say, call me when you get there, or today they may say, text me when you get there, doesn't matter. And that's something you associate, I'm being treated like a child. And you want to break away from that. That's normal for anyone. But when we're adults and our significant other says, give me a call when you get there, you kind of feel like they're treating you like a child, but in reality, they're probably showing that they really care about you and love you, and want to take care of you. But we become resistant to the expectation of us calling them because of the fact of our PDA, or maybe other reasons, but in this video we're talking about the PDA. And this resistance, as well as trying to control the relationship or the other person in a relationship, can lead to conflict. Okay, take out the word can, probably put in the way word may. Actually, you could probably use the word will, okay? Will lead to conflict. And that can lead us into social isolation because that kind of behavior, I hate to say it, but it's true, it can drive people away from us. And if you're sitting there thinking, well, that's part of my autism, which is true, but would you want someone to try to control you? Would you want someone to have expectations about you that you feel are demeaning to you or overly demanding? No, you would more likely walk away from that situation. So why should we expect holistics or others to stick with us when we're behaving that way just because it's part of our autism? No, no. I mean, it's a two-way street. If we would be offended by it, We need to understand that others can be offended by the same thing if we're doing it to them. Second area that can be devastated by PDA and autistic adults is in professional and educational lives. PDA may cause us to struggle to meet deadlines, follow instructions, or adapt to changes in routine at work or at school, which can result in job loss or academic setbacks, including academic probation, which, if you're not familiar with that term in college, that means we don't think you're really taking college seriously and all, and we're going to give you a 1-year vacation from here so you can figure out this is really what you want to do. Also, many autistics may have a history of losing employment or changing jobs and or careers because of the challenges that PDA places in their lives. Another dangerous aspect of PDA for autistic adults is the feeling of being overwhelmed and or experiencing burnout. Our PDA, when it challenges us, if we are one of the 20% of people under the spectrum that also has PDA, this can cause us to feel overwhelmed because the PDA is fighting against what we probably should be doing in the first place, because we're resisting things that people are expecting us to do or that we know we should be doing because we feel like it's trying to control us, like it's trying to manage us. And we're probably not very good at being micromanaged at work, but this is another topic for another day. So what my point I'm trying to make here is, from all that happening, we're going to feel overwhelmed because so much is going on in our life. So many battles are going on. This can lead to autistic burnout. And autistic burnout is not uncommon in our community, and it is not fun, and it can creep up on us, and it can take a very long time to work through, if not recover. So you really want to try to avoid autistic burnout. But again, I think I'm digressing. So let's move on. Also, the constant stress from managing demand avoidance can lead to exhaustion and difficulty functioning in daily life. That's another thing that can happen because we're battling PDA so much. We're gonna become tired, exhausted, which can add to the feelings of being overwhelmed and can add to our burnout, which, whether we have before we get into burnout or even after burnout, can happen at both times. We may have difficulty functioning in daily life. We may get behind on paying bills or updating our checkbooks, which I know I'm battling that right now in my life. These are all the things that can go on when we are battling PDA. As you can see from what I shared in this video, PDA can place many challenges in our lives and be very disruptive in our lives and can cause consequences in our lives. But don't despair. Look for the last video in the 3-part video series. And that video is entitled 9 Ways to Manage PDA as an Autistic Adult on my YouTube channel to discover how you can take on PDA and manage it, if not, overcome it. Now is your turn. Share with me your thoughts on this video, on PDA in general. You can do that by commenting on this video or by joining the conversation right now in our Facebook group, Autistic Adults Embracing Autism. A link to that group, as well as a link to a free gift from my website, is included in the resource link section of this video description. So please go check that out. This is The Confident Autistic, reminding you that now is the time for you to embrace autism confidently. Join me live Thursday nights for The Confident Autistic Live, where I answer your questions, we discuss this week's videos, offer support, and more. The fun starts Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time in the US of A. Be sure to click the bell when you subscribe to the channel to be notified when the party begins.